Welcome back to Viewmasters. Our episode today is on the second Ewok movie, The Battle for Endor. Rusty, did you enjoy this film? Let's just start there.
I was very reluctant to watch this because I was thinking, why did you pick this movie and not the first one? And I have to say, I actually enjoyed it a lot. It's actually more of a cohesive story than the prequels.
I thought this was actually a very enjoyable movie to watch. I've never seen the first one, but I heard the first one's. It's more like a nature documentary, which is kind of a fun idea, but I bet it doesn't really work very well. Narrated by Burl Ives.
Good old Burl. Went from Sam the Snowman to narrating Ewok.
Narrating Ewok. I couldn't have said it better myself. Rusty, this is our Christmas episode. It's almost Christmas. What a feeling.
It's crazy that it's Christmas again. I feel like we just did an episode.
But I feel like we just did Christmas Evil, and that was like 20 years ago.
Oh, man. I was hoping everyone, including you, forgot about that one. But we should.
You always go big on the holidays. Is it kind of like an anticlimax this year? What's it like?
Jen begged me to not go overboard with Nova this year, and I said, "Yeah, I'll hold back. I won't go crazy." Yeah, she has like 40-something gifts to open.
40-something gifts. Wow. Okay. What's the best one?
The thing that she'll probably be into the most is those motorized cars that we probably always wanted as a kid and never had one.
Yeah, exactly. I never even rode in one. I always wanted those.
I was like what are they called? What were they called? Like Power Wheels? They're called something else now.
Yeah, Power Wheels.
But yeah, so she got she likes green. That's her favorite color right now. So she got a green Lambo. So
a green Lambo. Okay, cool. Wow.
She'll be excited about that. And then there's a bunch of other stuff. Like anything that she's been interested in, I'm just like take a mental note and then I buy it later on.
Wow, 40 gifts. That's like a job, opening 40 gifts. I think I could get to like 12 and then I'd be like, I got to get out of here.
I know. I think we're going to spread it out though, because she's 2.5, so she'll be overwhelmed on Christmas. And that will, she'll probably want to actually open and play with everything, so it takes all day and we have other things to do. So we gotta spread it out. It'll be like a week. 12 days of Christmas for Nova.
That's cool. I mean, I'm sure we've talked about before the depression used to have on Christmas Day after you opened all your presents. Oh my God.
I don't know about you growing up, maybe later on, but as a kid, like you didn't go to friends' houses on Christmas Day. So it's just pretty much you and your siblings.
Mm-hmm.
And once my brother got older, where he would go out and it was just me, that was depressing because I would just be me alone with my like Game Boy games that I just got.
Oh yeah, a real lonely feeling.
But like I've been saying to Jen with this year, for the 2022 year, that I'm finding it hard to get into the spirit of Christmas. And usually you tell yourself that like, oh, it just doesn't feel like Christmas, and then suddenly you're like, oh, I feel it. The magic is in the air. But I had one like trigger moment that like set things off, and I was looking through Instagram, and somebody was going through one of those Montgomery Ward catalogs from 1982. And that triggered something because I remember doing that, like that same catalog as a kid and just wanting things. And like a week goes by, I forgot about it. And Jen got a package in the mail and she's like, I don't even know what this is. And she opens it. She's like, oh, it's for you. And she hands it to me. It's a Montgomery Ward catalog from 1985. And boy, has that been fun. It's like 300 pages of this, everything from 1985.
Yeah. I was going to say that was depressing, but it is fun. I would like to go through that myself.
Yeah. And as you know, as a 44-year-old, I'm wanting all the same stuff as I did as a kid. It's like, I know we've mentioned this before, but it's funny how like there's like 2 pages dedicated just to robots, which were huge in the 80s. Do you remember the robot? It was from Japan, obviously most robots were, but it was called like God Jesus. Weird robot. It was, you talk to it.
Look, we're getting way off track here.
So what have you been doing for the Christmas?
What have I been doing? Not very much in terms of Christmas. As you know, I recently moved, which has been crazy.
Well, you moved into a deeper hole, right? You've been in.
Oh yeah, well, yeah, a deeper hole for sure. Because I thought I was going to sell my apartment pretty soon after I bought this house, and looks like it's the worst possible time for this to be happening.
Uh-oh.
But I need a little adventure in my life.
What kind of adventure?
Just staring down the barrel of financial ruin.
All been there.
But So I'm not going to travel that much for a bit.
Mm-hmm.
Save money, stay local. The other night I went to see Jay Leno at Flappers.
Oh, Jay Leno. Wow. Blast from the past. Man, is that guy still relevant? What's he talking about nowadays besides being burned?
He did talk about that really briefly as he's getting on stage. He's like, I thought he was going to be more burned up. I thought he was going to be a charcoal briquette.
I don't know why I'm laughing at that.
This is my second time seeing Jay Leno, ironically. And you know what's fucked up is he did word for word the exact same set. Which I don't think he's going to do like a new hour every year, but like, come on, it was the exact same set. Even his current event section was the same. He was like, all right, Bill Cosby got out on a technicality. What is that, too edgy for you people? Okay. And then like the last third, it's like the first third is kind of like late night, what's in the news. And then the middle is like kind of personal stories, which was the best part. And then the end, he told like, what we call in the biz street jokes. He was just telling old jokes that he didn't make up. And I'm like, this is now just like I'm watching someone's fucking uncle. Let me go home. Why am I here?
Was he killing it though?
I mean, he told that joke, the famous joke about Pagolachi, I think the name is, of the guy goes to see a psychiatrist because he's so depressed. And the guy says, oh, you got to see this clown. He's in town today. And then he says, no, but I am the clown. Leno told that joke like it was his.
Oh, really?
That's insane. Yeah. He changed the name to Bobo. And the crowd loved it.
Were you laughing along? Because, sometimes when you're in those live experiences, you feel the energy. You loosened up a little bit. So
I wanted to laugh along. I really did. I thought that'd be like a step for me to laugh at Jay Leno, And then I saw Avatar 2. This was quite a 24 hours.
This is the life you're living now.
This is the life I'm living.
Avatar. I think I would rather see Jay Leno over Avatar 2, but how was that?
Okay. Well.
Oh boy.
Okay. So I figured if I'm going to see the movie, I might as well see it in IMAX and at the Chinese theater in Hollywood, which was horrible. But it's like a big IMAX theater. And when I walk in, me and Megan walk in, our row is completely empty except for one scary looking guy and with his girlfriend. He's not alone. Yeah. And I'm like, clearly my seat's going to be next to him. And it's assigned seating. And it was just so funny as I'm walking towards this guy with like the inevitability of like, I'm coming to sit right next to you. And I sat down. I was like, hello. Anyway, so the theater does fill up, although people arrived so late. That's neither here nor there. But the guy in front of me was texting the entire time. And he was texting like not even hiding the phone. He was like holding it over his head almost. And it was driving me more and more crazy to where I was no longer even engaged with the film at all. And at one point I thought, maybe if I push his chair forward slowly with my foot, he'll get the message. And I did that and he didn't notice.
His head was between his legs. He still didn't notice.
And I, just like the maniac I am, was like internally boiling. And he started texting again. And it was like I had no control over my leg. I kicked his chair so hard.
Oh, he must have been ready to throw down.
He sprung to his feet and spun around and looked at me. But I was doing pretty good acting watching the screen. And then he looked at the guy next to me, who's the scary guy. And then he was like, oh, fuck. And like immediately sat down. And he barely texted the rest of the film. And when he did, he didn't. But yeah, so that was the whole middle hour of Avatar. That's all I was dealing with.
I love that. I love that you were aggressive until it got confrontational. Then you cowered away.
I was, dude, I could have stabbed him in an alley, but not to his face.
See, so look at that. The scary guy saved the day for you.
He did. And after the movie, I wanted to say something because we were there for like the whole credits for some reason. And I wanted to be like, how about that guy in front of us? But I could not get the courage together.
Yeah, you could have been friends with him. He could have been like your my bodyguard, gone to places with you. Nobody would ever mess with you.
That's wow. Rusty, now, this is the Christmas episode, I guess, by default. But also it feels kind of relevant because the Willow series started airing a couple weeks ago.
You're killing me.
You know what's funny is that I remember when I first heard about that Willow series, I was like, oh, cool, a show about Willow. I'm going to check that out.
Me too.
Because I'm so jaded from like the Book of Boba Fett, which was like the worst show of all time. I still want you to watch that show because it's so bad.
I forgot about it already.
But my expectations are so lowered that even though Battle for Endor, I've heard it on different, like, you know, We Hate Movies and those kind of podcasts. But to me, this is actually some of the better Star Wars content I've seen in a long time.
I agree. I'm shocked. I'm shocked by this.
And this was a dry run for Willow. Rusty, did you know that?
No, I didn't know that. It kind of felt like a live action Lord of the Rings. But
I mean, it definitely feels more like medieval fantasy than Star Wars normally does.
Yeah. I mean, this came out in a time where like Star Wars was so irrelevant.
This period from Jedi until basically the special editions, that was the dark time of Star Wars. Mm-hmm. And it felt like the punk scene at one point was keeping Star Wars alive.
Oh, yeah.
Star Wars is like a punk thing. That's so crazy to me.
I know. You could go to like a show, like a, you know, underground show, and like most of the shirts had Star Wars characters on it with like, you know, something punk saying underneath it.
I remember you had the straight edge Stormtrooper shirt.
Yeah, it's a drug free with a Stormtrooper helmet. I don't know how the two went together, but
did you watch this at the time?
No, but the first one, the Caravan of Courage, I remember my mom rented it for me from the library, and I was watching it with my grandma, and I hated it at the time.
Wow.
And what year did that come out? Like 85? 84, 85?
The year before this, I think. So 84.
Okay. I think I was over Star Wars by then. I think I was onto He-Man and then G.I. Joe. So, yeah. Star Wars was... What?
I did not see this at the time. For some reason, I thought that it was on a channel we didn't have, but it was on CBS. What was it on?
Oh, really?
Well, whatever. I'll do the research another time. But I never saw this, although I did have a harmless attraction to the lead. Didn't think I was going to get there that quick. But I wasn't sure if she was a boy or a girl, and I didn't care. I was the same age, just for the record.
Yeah. You're not like some 30-year-old watching it.
No, I'm 44 now. But I didn't have that same reaction this time. That's not important. You know, Rusty, all these...
I don't think that's something you need to say unless you're really a freak.
Well, you know, speaking of being a freak, there's so many things in my past that other people could be embarrassed by or cringe at.
Yeah.
But basically nothing has any power over me. I'm like, that's like Freddy at the end of the movie. Yeah. I'm like, I'm not afraid of you.
Power over me. Yeah.
But this movie conjured a memory from childhood that actually makes me cringe really bad.
Oh,
so we're going to get to that.
We're going to get
to. Oh, you know we're going to share that.
A little teaser, man. I don't even know what you're going to say. It's not in your notes.
Let's get into this film here, Rusty. So you enjoyed it, you're saying?
You probably thought I would hate it, but I actually enjoyed it. I mean, The only thing really problematic is some of the effects. But other than that, I mean, it's a pretty well written storyline. It's pretty straightforward. It's fun and it's adventurous. Like getting there, yes, like you're on board.
And this is a weird. I never really say this about things we watch, but it's like weirdly well edited. I thought, like some of the action scenes, I was like, this is pretty good editing.
Yeah, that's why I feel like George Lucas had nothing to do with this movie.
Really? I think that I read that he like helped edit it, even though he famously had like a horrible first cut of Star Wars.
Yeah.
His wife saved it.
Yeah.
But it just has that kind of like, you know, Lucas kind of Spielbergian Raiders kind of like, you know, one thing goes wrong and then another thing goes wrong. And it's like the set pieces kind of work well.
Oh, do you know what the budget was for this movie?
Oh, I think it was between 4 and 5 million. I bet they really made it for like 1, and George was like, and we're going to tell the IRS it was made for 5.
There's like music videos made for more money at that time.
Yeah. I mean, you feel the kind of, and they made it really close to home. And the great truth of filmmaking is that the closer to home you are, the better. It's like war.
Yeah.
Once you're far away from home, oh boy, that sucks.
Isn't it like Stanley Kubrick made movies like 20 minutes from his house?
Yeah, that's the life.
That's what you want to do. Is that why you have this compound now, big backyard? You go make movies back there.
Well, we are shooting something here, but
yeah,
there you have it.
Hope you have the proper permits. Is that why you're being big about it?
I'm not doing none of that.
Before we jump in, how long did it take you to look up to see what Aubrey Miller looks like now? She's the one that plays Sindel, the little girl.
I didn't look her up. She left acting. I thought Aubrey, I'm going to give you your anonymity.
She kind of has a Frances Bean Cobain look. Like the buggy eyes and stuff.
The buggy eyes. The old Lucasfilm logo begins this film. Good seeing that again.
Yeah, you must have loved that.
I cheered. The neighbors called the police.
Yeah.
Now here's an issue. No one knows what Endor is, Rusty. Is it a moon or is it a planet? No one can answer that question.
Isn't it the forest and moon of Endor? So it's a moon.
Wicket and the girl are skipping through the forest. Now, skipping versus galloping was a huge deal back then.
I bet you can't do either of them. Yeah, I'm sure you can't do either.
But we used to have to do it in music class.
Yeah,
and our teacher was incredibly mean. And she'd be like, "You're skipping, you're not galloping." And I was like, what is the difference?
I mean, do you want to explain? I think galloping is actually more challenging, right?
I mean, it was for me, for sure.
You know, did you happen to see before we really start, dissecting this movie, but the poster for it, who's the hunk on the poster?
So the brother was the star of the first one.
Yeah, Mace, whatever his last name is.
And so I think they were, but I read online that this has been determined to have been no one. It was just like kind of like a marketing thing to kind of put a Han Solo character.
Yeah, I was going to say, it's like a cross between Han and Luke. It's like a hunky, like, guy that looks like he's going to save the planet, save the Ewoks. And the closest you get to that is Wilford Brimley.
Okay, we're going to get to the brother in a second, but he's definitely has a very troubling face to look at.
He's worse looking than some of the Ewoks.
This is so mean, but this is what he looks like. Because he looks like Mark Hamill, but he looks like Mark Hamill after, remember how in between Star Wars and Empire, Mark Hamill got in like a motorcycle accident or something?
Yeah.
And his face looked fucked up. Mm. This guy looks like if Mark Hamill, after that accident, if the ambulance got in an accident.
he kind of has a look of the second Rusty from the National Lampoon's Vacation movie, the European Vacation. If you remember that kid.
I'm just confused because your name is Rusty.
Oh, this is difficult. This is difficult to deal with now.
Did you notice the production designer was Joe Johnston?
No. Who's that again?
Joe Johnston later became a director, and he directed The Rocketeer. He directed the first Captain America movie.
Oh, with J.D. Salinger's son?
No.
Oh, you're talking about the what? You're talking about with Chris Evans. Oh, okay. I figured Rocketeer was around the same time period. Okay.
Yeah, it was. Yeah. Matt Salinger, who I don't know why I remember this about him, had a fake ear in that movie because he only had like half an ear or something.
Oh, is that the reason why I thought they couldn't get the mask right? Maybe he had some.
No, I think he had a fucked up ear. Was his issue?
He was also in Revenge of the Nerds as one of the football players.
So I did not know that.
Matt Salinger. And then I don't know what he does now.
And Joe Johnston, not to get ahead of ourselves, but he also directed all of the scenes with Wilford Brimley because Wilford Brimley did not like the brothers Wheat who directed the film.
Oh, really?
So he insisted everything needs to be directed by this guy.
Wilford Brimley seems like the guy. I don't know anything really about him personally, but he seems like somebody that's difficult to work with.
Oh, everyone said that he was very difficult to work with on this set. And it seems like that was a thing for him always. Like he was a pretty grumpy guy.
Did you ever watch like Our House?
Yes, I have.
He's like the same character from that. He's just like grumpy, set in his ways. Like doesn't want his shit touched or messed with. Mm-hmm. I think that's just like him. I think there's like, just play yourself. Oh, do that. It's bastard.
They
little bastard.
It's like they made these movies really close to Lucasfilm, really close to Skywalker Ranch, and using a lot of the same crew they'd worked with before.
Yeah.
And it was like 5-minute drive away from the main complex. So they must have said to themselves, wow, this is so comfortable. This is so great. And then Wilford Brimley shows up and it's just a huge dick to everybody. So Joe Johnston, huge star. And he also had designed, I believe, a lot of the special effects for Jedi. He even wrote a children's book called The Adventures of Tebow. I think this would be a good artifact for you to buy.
Wait, Tebow's an Ewok?
Yeah. No, it's an Ewok book.
Oh, really? Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay. You gonna tell me about this children's book?
No, I am not. I'm going to tell you a bit about the score, which is a pretty good score, actually. Kind of John Williams light, you know. They asked him to return Did you hear this story?
No.
They asked John Williams to return, and he said, "Sure, I would love to." And then they were like, "Okay, great. We didn't think you'd agree to this." And he was like, "Oh no, I thought you said you'd send the intern. Didn't know you said return." You know, it looked better in the notes. I think you had to deliver it differently.
You want to try it again? Or
John Williams, they asked him to return.
Mm.
And did you hear about this? They said, "John Williams, will you return?" And he said, "I sure will." And they said, "Great. Which hotel should we get you?" And he said, "What? I thought you said send the intern." Of course, I'm not going to be the composer for this piece of shit TV movie.
Oh, man. John should have sent his son, the one that was in Toto.
He had a son in Toto?
Oh, we talked about this on an episode.
You know, another famous guy in this film, Rusty, Paul Gleason.
Yes.
You expected to see him more than you do here.
Was he in Caravan of Courage? I didn't bother to look.
No, he was not. He was
so
recast. So it's kind of crazy that this part wasn't expanded.
He seems like another guy that was just like, what am I doing here? What is this? I always like seeing him.
Oh yeah, no, me too. But so because Sindel and Wicket, they're galloping through the forest, they're gathering flowers, which this must be low on the errand list.
Yeah. I mean, what else are you going to do?
Her family has been marooned on Endor or the moon. No one knows which one it is. And they come across Paul Gleason, who's her dad, and he's working on his spaceship. Now, here is a reference no one will get. Mm-hmm. Did not that spaceship look like do you remember Starcom, the line of toys? And I think they had a cartoon.
Yes. I don't know if they had a cartoon, but I remember the line of toys.
I think I might have told the story before, but there was a kid in my class who later became famous for trying to drown people. If you were in a pool with this guy, you know what I'm talking about.
I know.
Dan talked about this in the Mortal Kombat episode. He would yell "submergence" and try to dunk you in the pool and like drown you. It was
he didn't try. He didn't try. He did. It was like he didn't. Yeah. It was like having a shark in the water, like in Jaws, when all the people are fleeing the beach. Like you tried your hardest to get out of that pool.
Dude, and it was his kink too, because when he was holding you under, you'd feel a little poke coming through the little bathing suit.
Are you sure it wasn't yours?
That mesh netting was like Jaws 3. That shark's coming out.
The most terrifying thing, because he was a big kid and he was pretty strong, that you didn't know how long you were going to be underwater for.
Oh yeah,
like you were like, is this the end of me? And
he was always smiling and laughing, like in a weird way. Like he's the default smiler.
Yeah.
So it was a very disturbing experience because this guy's just laughing and giggling as he's drowning you.
I remember taking the bus ride home from school one day, and he did a very rare land submergence where he jumped on one of our friends. Mm-hmm. And I swear he'd probably like collapse the kid's lung because he could not breathe for like 10 minutes. He's just like, and Larry's just like, submergence.
So I remember one time remember how like when you're in elementary school, you become friends with a kid for like a week?
Mm-hmm.
And I became friends with this kid for like a week in 4th grade right before Christmas. And we decided to exchange Starcom toys. And I said, because he was into Starcom, and I was curious about it. And I told my mom that he'd given me this Starcom toy. We had to get him something. My mom was aghast because she said, like, you can't have a stranger giving you presents. Well, I don't know why she's from Texas, but my mom was like, you can't have a stranger giving you presents.
Marge Simpson now?
I'm trying.
Homer!
Basically, the point was because he might be homeless and the family might be living in the car. My mom was always afraid that everyone's living in their cars.
So that's why they can't give you a gift?
Well, you can't put that on them to give you a gift because, what if they're living in the car? And cars back then, come on.
They were big.
They were big, but they were uncomfortable. It was like the bench seating. They hadn't quite figured out how chairs worked yet back then. I wouldn't want to live in I'd rather live in a modern car.
Even
though every time I've tried to sleep in my back seat, it's like fucking hell. So Sindel and Wicket they're having a tough conversation now because Sindel's explaining that the dad is almost done with this spaceship that he's been working on.
Yeah.
They're kind of like a Swiss Family Robinson.
How long have they been stranded here that the dad's still like working on this ship?
I'll have to check the archives. I don't know that off the top of my head, but
it seems like they've been there for a while. That she formed a friendship with Wicket, and it took me way too long. I think it took me like 2 minutes to realize Wicket was speaking English. I was just like, when did that happen?
That's the famous thing about this movie, which I actually don't mind.
Mm.
But
I mean, they had to because they needed her to interact with someone. It would have been too weird for her to have dialogue with them just going yup every time.
It can't be like a mostly silent film with like a 4-year-old.
How come you didn't bother to help any of the other Ewoks? They were all the primitive.
I mean, the funny thing is, in this first conversation, Wicket really has the poorest grasp on he has to ask what every word means.
Yeah.
And I'm like, but you're speaking the language, Wicket. It was almost like the Smurfs, like at that moment, we were just like, is this going to be like this the whole movie? But he kind of catches on things quicker as the movie goes on. I
think he speaks less. His actions are larger than his words.
And his actions are kind of weirdly compelling, as we're going to get to. The one moment that missed for me is when, so she's saying, I'm going to have to say goodbye. And he says, goodbye, not good. And she explains, I'm going to have to go to school. Which is really, you've lived on this alien planet. And now you're going to go to school. What a come down that's going to be. And Wicket's like, you don't have to go to school. I could show you these great skills. And he uses his slingshot to catch food in his mouth, but there was never any food or any attempt to make food, Yeah. There was like no prop there. It was just like invisible. I was like, come on, we could have done something.
If he started showing you like skills, like nunchuck skills or something, are you like, okay, yep, I'm staying. I'm on board with
this. We're going to get to this soon, but I would have taken that deal in a second.
She says to him, though, she says that she has to leave, but she won't be gone forever. Now, is that shit that little kid says, or like in 30 years from then, where she's like meets her husband? She's just like, I have to go back to this moon on Endor. I got to go get this. I promised him I'd come back for him. We got to do it.
He's and it'd be like seeing like your kindergarten friend. It's like really awkward. Yeah. Right? So you've been good though? You've been good? You look healthy. You're still catching fucking shit with your slingshot?
So much has changed.
Mostly salad these days. I don't eat that weird stuff.
Did you notice in this scene though, like there's something wrong with Wicket's costume? He looked like he had some PTSD from the last battle on Endor. His eyes were all fucked up. They were looking different directions.
Yeah, I think the costume was pretty beat up. I feel like it is the same costume from Jedi, but no one bothered to wash it.
It's like what like the labyrinth creature Hoggle looks like now, all decayed. It's like the costumes.
Oh yeah, I feel like George was like, no, it's good.
Yeah, I think the Ewok costumes are pretty much all the same.
I think so.
You do or you don't?
I do.
Yeah. But I don't know what happened in the special effects department with the Marauders that we'll see.
Oh yeah,
those were a mess. But we'll get to that in a second. I just want to say there's some big names in this that played some Ewoks.
Really? Let's hear them.
The famous Tony Cox.
Oh yeah, he's also in Willow.
Also Debbie Lee Carrington from Total Recall. The little one that shoots the machine gun. She's one of the she's Weechie.
If you need help with this one, just holler.
Exactly. And do you know what's that show? Little People, Big World?
Yes.
The father on that one that ran into some problems. I think they canceled him, but Matt Roloff, he was an Ewok.
I'm not sure I'm familiar with him.
He was like a businessman that was very successful, and then like he became like an alcoholic, and I think he did some inappropriate things.
In the show or in real life?
In real life. What, as an Ewok?
And Warwick Davis, not Warwick. Just found out it's Warwick. Warwick Davis.
Warwick Davis
returns as Wicket.
I was wondering, since Wicket is speaking English, is that actually Warwick Davis delivering the lines, or is it a character actor?
Well, first of all, it's Warwick Davis.
It's Warwick Davis.
I said Warwick Davis.
Warwick.
You just said Warwick.
It is Warwick.
It's Warwick. No, it's Warwick.
Warwick? No. How's it spelled?
I know that has the W in there, which is making you think
so it says Warwick?
That's the whole reason I'm saying it's Warwick.
Warwick.
Because we've always thought it was Warwick. I'm gonna have a stroke if I make that sound one more time.
Warwick.
Look, Wicket senses danger. And I thought this was a pretty powerful shot as they crest up this hill and they see the Marauders just destroying the town.
It's the Marauders' problem anyway.
I mean, the Marauders kind of look like George decided to go all in on Weequay from Jedi.
Yeah. I have it's a cross between a crypt keeper and Weequay.
Oh yeah, that's a good combo.
You know what the crazy thing is though? I think the budget was so low. It's just like make all these masks, but we don't care if the mouths move or not. None of their mouths moved.
Oh yeah.
And it was just like, and we don't give a shit if you could see the actor's eyes. You don't have to color that in or anything.
I mean, there's a very clear progression a lot of times in movies like this where it's like the main bad guy will have like the good mask that moves. Then you have like the masks that look fine, but they don't really move. And then you have just like put a bucket on his head, like the real shit. It was like put hair in front of his face, like in the bigger scenes.
I know you're probably not a Gwar fan, but are you familiar with them?
Yeah, of course.
Like they do live shows and they do like
everything I stand against. Well, I do like the idea of a theatrical show. I just hate metal.
Yeah, they do the theatrical shows and they have like the slave pit characters and stuff, and they're like that foam latex mask look like some of the extras in this. It's very low budget.
But they're pretty brutal, these guys.
Oh yeah.
And the score during this, it sounded, and the scene in general brought to mind the opening scene of Conan the Barbarian. I mean, the score really sounds like I don't know how to say his name, Basil Polidorus.
I don't know
that guy. You know, Rusty, as these guys are killing everybody.
Yeah.
The mounted laser gun felt a little bit like overkill.
That's like something you would use on an AT-AT, but using it on Ewoks.
But I just thought it was funny how there's like a second guy. It's like usually there's a second guy because it's like a machine gun with like a belt that you got to feed into there.
Yeah.
But with this laser gun, they had nothing to do except point around and be like, there he is. And then the guy would move the gun.
Yeah. I mean, this first battle, the Ewoks are just really, it's like the Falkland Islands War. They had nothing. They had no artillery, anything.
Yeah, I'm so bad at remembering what happened in that war. Every 6 months I Google it, but I can never remember.
Where's that, off the coast of Argentina or something?
And I know England
somewhere
was the other belligerent.
Yeah, but basically, like England had all these long range weapons, missiles, and stuff, and obviously they didn't. So it's basically like holding somebody at arm's length as you're hitting them. Like they couldn't do anything.
That's the dream.
That's your dream?
No. Now we see the main leader. This guy is a legend.
The actor?
This is Tarak.
Yeah.
This guy is 7 feet tall, and you feel all 7 feet.
You know who? I guess his other famous role is from the Addams Family movies. He was Lurch.
Oh wow! Now we've been seeing Ewoks buying it, but now it's time for Sindel's family to start getting murdered. Because she looks at this wristwatch that she has.
Oh my god!
That displays everyone's like life force, and you could be green, which is great, yellow, which is you're in danger, or red, which is dead. And this is a very funny device because it has exactly the amount of people that are in her family. But it's like, what if they had like another sibling?
Another bracelet. Get another bracelet.
I think it'd just be like, well, what about me? What about me, Dad? And it's like, no, Jamie from Small Wonder, we'll just keep our eye on you. You'll be fine. I don't want to reduce you to green or red.
How much anxiety do you have if you're wearing that bracelet? Like you're constantly looking at it. Be like,
I mean, is it like tied into heart rate? Like, how else would it know if you're in danger? So it's like you're working out, and your mother calls like, you're yellow right now?" And you're like, "It's just because I'm running."
Yeah, it's true.
Love the energy. Man, be sad to buy one of those bracelets for one. Or I can imagine myself lying and saying like, "Oh, I got 7. Yeah, big family, got a lot of kids." And the guy in like the Star Wars Apple store is like, "What are their names? I got to program them in." I'm like, "Oh, names. Oh, fucking Mace. That's one of them." Now you've got 3 solid ones on your bracelet. Would you put your dog on there, or you're not going to put your dog on there?
Nah, he's got liver cancer, so it's kind of a waste of money to put that one in.
Yeah, you're like, start him off on pink. He's going to be, he'll be there soon enough.
Oh man.
But Tarak, so the family is getting shot at. We see the brother get killed here, right?
It's implied. Like he tells Sindel to like go back to the dad.
Yeah, Mace is having his last stand, but it's not a very good one. You don't want to have an anticlimactic last stand, which I know in Civil War II, I will have that. I'll be like, run, I'll hold them off. And then my family's running off and I'm like, wait, my gun's jammed. I'm coming with you. And then I get shot in the back as I try to flee.
I know you're not a Forrest Gump fan, but you remember the scene where like the radio guys say to Forrest to run and they immediately get blown up by a mortar? That's you. You don't even get to say anything. You're just getting blown up right away.
See, I don't remember that scene, but I do remember when I was running at Nassau Community College and some collegiate bullies said, run, Forrest, run. But the thing is, they did that to everyone who ran through that quad. And like that was all they did. It was such a weird.
I wonder at what point it got unfunny where they're like, we should really stop this. By now. Probably not. They might still be there. They're like, oh,
well,
like,
that's the thing. These days you can outsource that to like a motion detector and some kind of robot.
You know, if I was in that Star Wars universe and I was saying to my sister to run, immediately after she took off, I'm either surrendering or looking at those guys. I'm like, I'm with you, and I just start firing on the Ewoks.
Oh my god!
I mean, he has a blaster, but he doesn't know what he's doing. He can't.
Yeah. And his blaster has like duct tape on it. When Civil War II happens, Rusty, I really hope my AR-15 doesn't have duct tape on it.
But anyways, I think when she gets to the father, she sees that the mother's already dead at this point, right? And her brother Mace, another Mace in the Star Wars universe. That's a bit weird. She runs back to Paul Gleason.
Oh yeah, and Tarek shows up here. Now this was kind of interesting because Tarek, very hard name to say for some reason.
Tarek.
He wants the power.
Oh, the power.
But he doesn't quite understand it. And it's clear that he had like an encounter with this power in the past where he's like, this is the thing I told you guys about. And he's trying to get it, but he doesn't know what he's trying to get. So kind of interesting villain in that way.
Yeah, like what was he going to do? I mean, this is like in 2001 A Space Odyssey, like when the primitive humans, or what are they? The apes?
No, they're humans. You know, imagine bringing one of those guys home for dinner.
For dinner?
This is my boyfriend. He's from a rough neighborhood, the dawn of man. But the great thing is he evolves fast. You know, just put him in front of the TV. He'll be the next Johnny Carson. Oh my Lord. I remember a professor told us once that movie lost the best makeup effects because people thought those apes were real apes.
People were a lot dumber back in 1960. What was it, 8, 9?
I feel like we've had this exact exchange on this podcast before, but it's like Jay Leno. Whatever. If it's working, you keep doing it.
Wait, what won best picture that year? Oliver?
No, I mean like best makeup effects. Like they were like, that's not makeup; those are real apes.
Who won best makeup that year? Oliver. Who did win the best?
Was that the same year as Planet of the Apes? Because I think that might have.
Planet of the Apes was 68, right? It was 2001 also. Really?
Sure.
So you can't be too good at your special effects to get the Oscar for best special effects.
Yeah, exactly.
You can't fool the.
That's like this movie. Every time that sword swung, I was ducking. I looked like Tony Soprano playing Mario Kart. I was all over the place.
It was baffling to me. There was I was in Target earlier today, and the guy behind me online had the Sopranos Blu-ray set. I was just like, that's a very weird choice.
That really is.
I was like, who wants that for Christmas?
I mean, I'm in the middle. I'm actually at the end of my Sopranos rewatch for the year, but maybe it's for an old person who can work a Blu-ray player, but not HBO Max.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. But
Tarek wants the power, but he's not ready for that.
Like, what's this guy going to do with like a power reactor?
Yeah, it's like you guys are mostly living in a Willow world. You can't quite make it to full Star Wars.
Yeah,
they at least have to hit like a Krull before they can hope to hit Endor. This is a very Krully movie, and there's also an evil witch who is with him.
I want to know her backstory. How did she wind up with these guys? She's clearly smarter than all of them. But
she was playing a very strange role in this movie, and she can transform into a bird. This was clearly part of the testing for Willow because that was a big deal with the morphing into the animals.
Willow, yeah.
Do you know that this is one of the few elements of this film which is Star Wars canon? She is part of a class of witches that she's actually using the Force, not magic.
Really? Then why does she need the ring?
She doesn't. She believes she does, and I think that's an important lesson for all of us.
Are you making this shit up, or is this true?
No, it's real, and it
really
makes you wonder what in this vast universe, what else are people attributing to the Force that's not there must be some fucked up planets out there. And I guess the other element of this that's Star Wars canon is that the blurgs, which we're going to meet soon, later show up in The Mandalorian.
Oh, yeah. But they look a little better.
A
lot better.
So.
I should say a lot better.
So Tarek wants the power. And Paul Gleason is like, I have no clue what you're fucking talking about, man. And that'd be very scary if an alien was coming at you. Like you go to take out the garbage and like an alien comes down, an alien grabs you and is like, where is the block? And you're like, what? Dude, I don't know.
Tarek's just like the old man there. He doesn't know how to use any technology. They're just like, Jesus Christ. We have to show this guy how to use the battery. Just tell me you don't know how to do it.
Dude, I had to buy him fucking Sopranos Blu-ray on HBO Max.
Yeah, but if you tell him, like if it's like with an old person, like you try to show them, but it takes like hours and they still don't get it. So everybody's just like, just don't waste the time.
Oh yeah. Sometimes when I think, oh man, it's sad that my parents are dead, I think, well, they wouldn't be able to work the TV these days. They would not get all these apps.
You get somebody phone call, Edward.
They'd just be staring at static somehow. It's like, how do you even get to this static these days?
Yeah, wow. My mom, every time she comes over to babysit Nova, she is like, I have a question for you about my phone. It's like always like the easiest thing, which is great, but I never explain. I'm just like, just let me do it. Like I'm not explaining it because you never.
What is something she would ask?
She like the main thing is she like takes her like one of the icons off her, the desktop. Mm-hmm. And she's like, where did it go? How did it just disappear? Oh, yeah. I don't know how it disappears. I'm just like, because you're like holding it for too long where like
my email's gone forever.
Yeah. Oh my God. I don't even want to get started on her emails. She asked me questions about her email and the amount of spam she gets. I think she replies to it too, which is crazy.
Oh, I love
She's
that.
Like, I tell them I'm not interested. I'm just like, well, why are you even replying? Just delete it. My favorite thing, when she does get one of those scam calls, you know how it tells you scam likely, and like she gets like the voice message like, oh, like your son is kidnapped. We need like whatever. We need you. I verify your account or whatever. And she's just like, this is a scam, right? I'm just like, yeah. She's just like, are you sure though? I'm just like, what are you bored? I guess she's just like, well, how do I know? I'm just like, you just asked me. It's a scam, right? And now you're saying, how am I sure? It's crazy.
Yeah, it's only scam likely, not scam definitely.
Yeah, yeah. It's true. Well, you got a point. Maybe she's onto something. It seems like this is Tarek's MO because he's been asking everybody about this power. That guy Salic, Noah. Paul Gleason, the little girl when he captures her. It's just like at some point he's got to be like, maybe this doesn't exist. Maybe
I feel like the backstory is he witnessed something like as a kid and it, like fucked him up. He started this group. Like this guy's twisted.
He's not really much of a leader though.
He's not. Speaking of people who are not that much of leaders, I should say that I once had a club called the Marauders.
Yes.
That I was the leader of.
Till they beheaded you.
Started in 3rd grade, but we made a film in 6th grade.
How much mutiny was there?
There was quite a lot of mutiny. And this is kind of a painful memory for me. Because in 3rd grade, it was the Monster Squad became the Marauders. That was the grown-up version. But I tried to get some kids back that had been in the Monster Squad. I was like, you remember that vow you made? You got to come back into action with the Marauders. And these 2 brothers, who I'll delete their name, but brothers, agreed to be in the club. But then they called me back, and this was the memory I was cringing at, to tell me that their parents had said they can't be in the club because they're too busy. But when they told me that they were too busy, I feel like it was like one of the first times where you were like, that's not the reason. And I feel like these parents thought I was like a freaky kid for a couple of incidents.
Yeah. Yeah. You could, I'm sure there's a list.
Yeah. I mean, I'm innocent of most of them.
Of your Marauders club.
Yes.
Do you remember the Wanderer? You saw the movie, right? Or you at least read the book? And the Wanderers gang, they get the guy Perry, the new Italian guy in the neighborhood, and he's like the big muscular guy, and it's like, we got him. He's in our gang. So like now they could really do some rumbling. Who was your Perry Like, so far what you've given me of the names, you guys ain't going around town threatening people.
Well, we did come back later for an enduring film series where made over 10 Marauders movies. And I would say our friend Dan, who played Too Tall, would have fit that bill. But back in the day in 6th grade, when we actually believed it was real, and I had basically made up imaginary enemies. Like I was like in the book 1984. Like I was like, we've always been at war with the Wolverines.
You should have just made up like a big, like we got to get the big tarantula and just put like a costume on a dog.
Wait, so but when we made the video in 6th grade, this video consists of interviews with me and the only other kid that I did it with. Interviews, and then we fight to the Turtle soundtrack at the end.
Who's?
But there was
what?
Wait, what were you gonna say?
I was just gonna say whose interview was doing the Morse code for help or torture for torture.
But at one part during my interview, I'm showing like this table that I'd put like battle plans and stuff on, and like the list of the Marauders, and the kid whose parents said he couldn't be in it, his name was Brian, but this was one day that we had our friend Eric over to write the names down, and he wrote him down as Brain.
I don't know why.
So in the video, I'm like, okay, we have Brain. Well, his name is Brian, but he said he was too busy to be in the club, and like it's just like a sad moment. I'm like, Eric, we don't talk anymore. It's like I go through all the Marauders. I'm like, they've all been struck down.
You need that bracelet. You need to know.
Oh my god, they all turned red. I was like, this wasn't even cool.
You know, you mentioned that you had Too Tall in your club.
Yeah.
But I know you saw My Bodyguard recently, and he's clearly like the bodyguard. Like, look, he's big, but he's not fighting anyone.
Yeah. Oh, Too Tall? Too Tall is not bringing shit to that fight.
I know he listens too.
Oh, we made like the headquarters, which one of my brothers rightfully trashed with his friends. He's older than me, so he's like in college. He's like, what's this fucking kid doing? And wait, this is the club where I wore shin guards all up my arms. And I was like, this is going to fuck him up. Oh, help me.
I'm sure you probably went to bed at night thinking of like plans. Like, all right, got to do this. Man, you're like, oh,
we made all the armor out of cardboard too. I forgot about that. We wore like the cardboard armor. All right, Paul Gleason, he ends up dying.
You mess with the bull, you get the hordes.
And he's telling Sindel, she's like, no, you got to be okay. And he's like, remember the story of the little bird?
Yeah.
And the little bird got blown out of its nest?
A lot of bird metaphors in this movie.
The weird thing is the whole story is about the bird flying away, and then she runs and she's pursued by a bird.
Yeah. You know, but like when her and her dad like run for a little bit and they're hiding out from the Marauders, that's the scene directly from Ralph Bakshi's Lord of the Rings.
Oh, interesting.
Like, come on. If you look at the way they're like, I mean, the Marauders are the Wraiths, but they're hiding in like the hollowed out tree trunk or whatever.
It's weird because as you might have seen later in my notes, I felt like there was another reference to Bakshi's Lord of the Rings.
I think there's a couple.
Yeah, when they're like, they've captured them and they're making their way through the woods. And it was very similar shot wise.
Well, George Lucas is no stranger to ripping things off, so I wouldn't be surprised.
That is very true. So she goes, the witch blocks her path, but this is a well done scene, I thought.
Oh, when the witch,
you thought she was getting away, then the witch gets her, and Tarak says quite creepily, "You're a pretty prize."
Cancel Tarak.
Oh yeah.
What a weird line to say.
Yeah, it really was. So she's reunited with Wicked. He's also been captured. We see the Blurgs, which are very Ray Harryhausen's dipshit son got drunk, and this is what he made. All right, so then they've captured them. They're taking them through the forest, and they put our heroes in a cage made of bones. This is very similar to the He-Man bone thing.
What, the Bones Walker? Whatever it was?
Yeah, was that what it's called?
I think a lot of kids' stuff was like bones.
Oh, yeah.
I think kids were,
Well, all these fantasy worlds, they all had the same guy. He's like, oh, you want it made of bones? That's a small choice, but it is more expensive. And I'm going to need some corpses.
I might be wrong on this. Wasn't there a power of the Force, like towards the very end of the run. But wasn't there a Power of the Force like Ewok toy that kind of resembled that? It had like the skull on it.
Hold on. Hey, hon, I need you to check my man cave. Can you check the walls of my man cave? Did they ever make an Ewok vehicle towards the end of the run? I don't know.
People would be expecting you to ask me that.
Well, that is true. That is true.
I don't know. I didn't get into collecting that stuff.
Sindel in this Bowmobile, she says, "My family, they're all dead. They're dead."
Get over it.
Wicket's like,
I'm your family now.
Yeah, that's creepy.
oh, really? Because be honest, Rusty, back in 1984, 85, this was the dream.
Oh.
If I could go to another planet and be friends with Wicket,
oh my God,
and my family had to die, I'd be like, okay, do I kill them in their sleep or when they're awake?
I'm curious because like Sindel gets really over the mourning period very quickly. I mean, I know kids are resilient with things, but man, she's just like, my family's dead. I miss him. And he's just like, but you're my family now. She's like, okay, Wicket. Now, I'm curious to know, you're on this forest moon of Endor.
Yeah.
You know, if your family's murdered, how long does it take before you start dating an Ewok? There's no other humans around.
The Dingleberry situation alone probably put me off of the Ewoks.
They're like, we thought we were bad.
And he doesn't clean it. He knows it bothers me. He says it's an Ewok thing. I said I'd eat your ass, not everything else. Sometimes you get lucky. It's a berry, a natural berry.
That they sat on or passed through.
I'm buying him a bidet.
Oh my God, what is that? Water.
Their one trick is a slingshot of food in the air, and you're getting them a bidet. You're like, what the hell? You know they're not using that.
They'll learn to use it.
Somebody just in like 20 years, somebody comes across you. You're all like disheveled now, but they're like, "What have you been doing for the past 20 years?" I'm like training them to use the bidet.
I don't even know what planet I'm on anymore. So they get a hole open in the bottom of this Bowmobile. Now the whole classic movie problem, Rusty. This hole looks big enough for everybody, but they say only Sindel and Wicket can fit in.
Probably for the best.
They get in the hole. Desperate escape. Now, this is a scene that I thought had some flaws.
Yeah, I agree with that for sure.
First of all, why does Wicket want to go up the top of the mountain anyway? That seems like the stupidest place to go if you're being pursued. You know, now they got no escape.
I don't know. I'm an adult now, and I have no idea what I would do in that situation. I'd probably do the same thing. Higher ground.
I know exactly what to do. That's Special Forces training.
You're doing interviews.
So, but the thing is, like, Wicket's like,
Let's go up there.
and then like they're suddenly up top of this peak, and the Marauders pursue them, and like there's no way they felt good about the cutting between of the two. Like the geography of this scene's all fucked up. But the point is to get Wicket and Sindel inside this cave. The Marauders shoot at them, they miss, but they accidentally cause a rock slide that traps them inside the cave. Rusty, this is happening all the time back then. The rock slides that trap you inside a cave in a cartoon or a movie. I thought that would happen to me. Never going to happen to me.
Rock slides, quicksand. What else was going on back then?
So many. Compound bows were huge back then.
Bows, yeah.
But now they're trapped in the cave.
Yeah.
This is big. And they find a way out, but it's very high up. They go towards the light, and it's like a cliff. So what are they going to do?
Jump for it.
Wicket gets inspired. He sees a bone. He sees another bone. We don't know what he's doing at first. Not sure I would trust a teddy bear to do this. But he's slowly constructing a glider.
You must have been standing on your couch seeing that shit.
I mean, it's one thing for him to build the glider, but he also attached the rocks to it, you know?
Yeah.
That's like if me and you were on like a desert island and I built a boat and then I built like torpedoes. You're like, well, the torpedoes is a bit much. Why don't we just leave? But you know, those rocks come in handy. He knows the world better than I do.
Yeah. I mean, it's his planet. It's his home world.
But one of these bones, unfortunately, disrupts another kind of Ray Harryhausen reject, and not the most amazing effects here either.
No, that thing looked straight out of Jason and the Argonauts.
I like that Wicket. First, Wicket throws a spear at this thing, and Sindel says, "Run, run!" And he turns to run, and he could get away, but he sees a rock, and then he's like, this motherfucker. Wicket is depicted as having a little bit of a psychotic, violent streak. It's very subtle.
You can't contain Wicket, man. He does his own thing.
They take the glider. This thing flies after them. We have a
the thing takes
pursuit.
the girl.
Oh, it takes the girl. Yes, that's what happens.
Yeah, so Wicket got to jump the glider and go after them. I mean, you knew that's where it was leading to. I don't know how you forgot that.
I don't know how I forgot it either, because it had real Soarin' Over California vibes. Soarin' Over California, Russ, they used to be the ride at Disneyland. Then they made it Soarin' Over the World, and ever since then, it's not been the same.
I can see that. I have a kind of a dumb question.
Okay.
I don't even know if there's an answer to it. Don't even know. But when the Ewoks are taken prisoner, I'm just backtracking for a second. When they're taken prisoner by the Marauders, what's the plan? Like, the Marauders don't need them for anything. So why not just execute them? Like, they're keeping them alive back at this castle thing. Now they have all this overhead. They have to feed them, house them, but they're never going to do anything with them.
Yeah. I think
are they eating
them? Dude, I think their plan, and this is not a joke at all, is to torture them in the hopes that one of them knows something about this battery that Tarek has.
The Ewoks, though, because they know they share the planet with them. Or is the Marauders
the Marauders know that they're like, we might as well.
Might as well.
But it's not going to work out. I
mean, I think it's a kind of a heavy concept for a 6-year-old watching, but I just feel like when you see the Ewoks all, as prisoners, they're not they're not doing any kind of labor. They're just sitting there. It's like a very kid. It's like what I would come up with if it's like Ewoks were taking a prisoner.
Not to get ahead of ourselves, Rusty, but did you notice that prop from Temple of Doom? Indiana Jones and Temple of Doom is there.
No, I didn't. And I was looking at this movie and it's like, surely there's got to be like some Easter egg props in here.
Oh, yeah. The cage that Kate Capshaw and the unlucky guy earlier are lowered in is like sitting on top of like a pedestal in that big room.
Oh. Yeah. Well, I'm not watching this again, so I'll just have to take your word for it.
Now, back to Sindel and Wicket. They've escaped from the monster and they're sleeping. And a mischievous little creature, kind of, here's a reference for no one. Remember in Golden Axe how the little guys back and like take your stuff? Very reminiscent of that. But it's kind of weird because it's like the guy's like going through like Wicket's like wallet. I'm like, what is he going to get here on this?
I just realized you jumped to Teak. I thought we were still talking about the chase scene, but it's fine.
Oh,
it's fine.
No. Well, no, you go. What do you else have to say about the chase?
I don't know. I mean, the one thing that bothered me because I don't know what the gravity's like on this moon or whatever, but the physics don't make sense. Well, like the fact that the monster releases Sindel, she's falling to her death, and somehow Wicket, who's above the monster, is able to rescue her.
You know what's crazy is they had this problem in this TV movie 1985, and there's a very similar problem at the end of Barbarian, which I did like, but they do the same thing with physics.
Oh yeah, it's true.
It's like, man, I don't want to accept that everything falls at the same rate either. Remember when I first learned that in like science class, I was like, this has to be untrue. But you got to accept it at some point.
Yeah. And when did you accept it? That's in science class?
No, just last year.
So when you turned 43, you're like, doing it. This is the year. I'm accepting it.
It was when me and my son jumped off a bridge together.
So Teak.
Yeah, Teak, Rusty, classic speedy character, kind of like Sonic the Hedgehog.
As a kid, I would have definitely have related to Teak because I always thought of myself as very fast and I was a small stature back when I was a little kid. It took me a while to grow, so I would have been all about Teak. Teak, though, I at first I hated Teak because his eyes are a little too close together, but I do enjoy Teak.
Me too. I thought he was a fun character. You kind of like him.
Yeah.
He's got a good heart.
Even from the very beginning of his introduction, he's got a good heart. Like he immediately wants to help Sindel, even though Wicked's a dick to him.
Yeah, because Wicked's like,
I got you.
And he tries to bonk him on the head. But, I think they're kind of pulled apart from each other, and Teak knows where some food is, so he's going to lead them on the way.
Yeah. You know what bothers me about a lot of people that are of our age is that they always shit on Ewoks. Like they're always like, oh, there's teddy bears, and there's like horrible writing or whatever, and they're annoying and all that stuff. But the people our age, they grew up. Everybody loved Ewoks back then.
Oh yeah, no, we're exactly of the age where Jedi was our movie.
But I mean, like everybody loved the Ewoks. They were huge. So that's like, come on, like don't be like Kevin Smith and be like, oh, overturn
I
it.
honestly don't even think I was aware of Jedi being a lesser movie until Kevin Smith,
Yeah,
until Clerks or whatever that was. And I was like, oh, wait a second. I thought everyone loved everything.
yeah. No, as a kid, seeing Jedi in theaters and like Ewoks come in and save the day.
Oh, yeah. I
That
mean,
was
people
amazing.
give Jedi shit for, I mean, I guess they're the right reasons in retrospect, but come on. As a kid, Jabba's palace, like
Oh my god.
the Ewoks, the Gormarian guards.
You know, as a kid, I'll say this: as a kid, I always liked Jedi in A New Hope over Empire because I thought Empire
me too.
was a little boring for a kid. But I mean, as an adult, I like obviously Empire now better than Jedi. But as a kid, come on.
And I, for some reason, as a kid, the only effects that ever bothered me were the Tauntauns in Empire.
That's the one that bothers you.
Yeah, like the long shots of them where I was just like, that's fake as fuck. So Teak leads them back to a house. Wow, can't believe their luck. Because the place is pretty empty, but they say, you know what, we're going to live here. And that's another little kid fantasy thing. It's like, oh, we found the house. Now we're going to make it our house. Even though you can't really trust a 5-year-old to put a house together. But they decide to clean it up and they're going to make it their own.
I think you should write a script for a 5-year-old architect that designs houses.
Oh, that's a great TV show. He's the best architect in the city. He's 5 years old. He had another building collapse the other day. So they decide to clean it up, and the score starts going crazy as a guy is approaching. We big footsteps. We're building up suspense. The score, I can't stress enough for us, is going absolutely ham here. And then Wilford Brimley bursts in.
Yeah.
And I love, he says to Teak, he says, you nasty little bug lover. I told you I don't want no strangers around this place. Now you got to think that the reason he's told Teak not to have strangers around is because Teak's brought strangers back before. And these are probably the most chill people he's ever brought back. He probably brought back like Tarek at some point. He's like, hey, hey.
Well, Tarek knew who he was because he says, you again, old man, or whatever he says at the end.
Oh, yeah. They go way back. And they're like, we have no place to go. And Wilford Brimley's like, get out. I don't care.
You know what I like though? Before we see Wilford Brimley, when like they're going through the house and it's all like clutter and shit, and Wicked pulls out like a chest from underneath Wilford Brimley's bed, and he opens it up, and there's like a cone in it that he puts on his head, and like Teak goes apeshit.
Oh yeah,
but that's like
apeshit laughing.
Yeah, apeshit laughing. Yeah, I don't know why. All he did was put a cone on his head, but you know that's like that's Wilford Brimley's like private stuff. It's probably like his sex toys that he came up with since he's alone.
George Lucas, right before this movie, had watched Heidi with his daughter. So I guess the plot is a little similar in Heidi, where she meets like a grumpy old man.
So
very direct inspiration.
Never was into that as a kid.
No, I know. That's like a previous generation thing.
That was like Anne of Green Gables. That came on, and I immediately tuned out.
Yeah, Pippi Longstocking. More like Pippi. I don't fucking think so.
The Pippi Longstocking. The girl was cute at the time. Like I was that age.
I have no idea.
But yeah, Heidi, get the fuck out of here.
Finally, Wilford, he sees. Oh, his name is Noah, by the way. Noah sees like that they're cold and hungry, and he says, "Here, take. I got this. There's some kind of little muffins," and he gives them a little bit of food.
Yeah, I mean. It's like what you said. Like Teak definitely brought some undesirables around, but deep down, Noah has a good heart too.
Oh, I found this to be a very satisfying arc. You know, it's clearly like every scene is all about like he's like, get away from me, I want to be alone, but you know he doesn't really want to be.
Yeah,
and
I
liked it.
Oh, me too. It's really bizarre to me that Wilford Brimley is a part of the Star Wars universe.
Yes.
And like this is the hero that we never knew of. I don't know. I like the characters in this. I thought Wilford Brimley enjoyed his performance, even though he is so bitter at times.
Oh yeah, and Sindel, I like. You know, I was very aware of these movies. I remember seeing like a TV guide with her on the cover. So I've known her my whole life.
And you're like, I don't know if that's a boy or girl, but I like it.
What can I say?
What were you hoping for as a kid?
Whatever you got.
It's just somebody to hang with.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's not like when you're a kid and you have like crushes. It's not like you think like, oh, I'm going to make out with that. Like,
No, you don't. Yeah. My thing was always this, like,
thought till I was like 19.
mine was always, all right, I got to give him a present. And then it's just like, and then we'll get married. And it's just like, well, where's the in-between stuff?
This is some present.
Yeah. Anytime like there was a girl that like as a really little kid that I was into, I would always give a present to. It never led to anything. At one time I wanted to give this girl that I liked jewelry, and I was going through my mom's jewelry. And my mom's like, "You can't give that to a kid." So I took a jewelry box and I put like one of those like garbagey like plastic rings you got from the dentist from like the thing, and I put that and I gave it to her, and she opened it up and she's like, "What is this?"
Wow,
that was my first taste of rejection. What?
I never heard this story before.
That was my first taste of rejection.
When did you give it to her?
Kindergarten on the bus. I remember it. Eric, I don't want to say his name. Our friend Eric was with us or with me.
And was he encouraging you? Like, you got to do it.
Of course. Yeah. He's very encouraging to make horrible decisions.
And did you say anything to her? Like, what did you walked up and how did that go?
I don't really remember because I thought she may have liked me a little bit. I don't know. Kids get weird impressions of things, but I think that was my next step to like, okay, this is going to cement the relationship. And like, I didn't really say much. I just gave it. I said, "This is for you." And I just remember her saying like, "What is this?" That's why I have such issues giving people gifts now. I feel the judgment.
Wow. So, all my romantic fantasies back then were that we'd find some hideout, like abandoned house or open area that would be our clubhouse, and that eventually I'd get in a fight with a group of ninjas and she would have to nurse me back to health.
For anyone keeping track of our episodes, you had a lot of fantasies about ninjas.
I did. Yeah. I mean, obviously I defeat most of them, but I get very wounded.
Good thing you didn't say New York Ninja as a kid. You would have probably tried to emulate that.
And now Sindel has a nightmare. This is really a running time special, you might call it.
Yeah. How come it starts in black and white?
Well, this almost reminded me of American Werewolf in London, that weird dream with like the Nazi werewolves or the Nazi zombie guys. Remember that weird random scene?
Yeah.
Very good. So she wakes up screaming and Noah is like, "Well, I guess I'll let you have the bed then."
That was nice. Nice little moment.
Doing this nice thing, he says to Teak, "See what you've done now?" But in kind of a lovable way.
Yeah.
And he says, "Come daylight, they're going to have to go on, though." And so we enter this commercial break. It fades with a very heavy heart. Now, the next morning, Rusty, Wicket, he's whistling and he's sharpening a spear. There's a very funny moment. He's sharpening a spear and he sees Wilford Brimley and they make eye contact and Wicket goes, "Morning." And then Wilford Brimley just keeps looking at him for like a dark few seconds and he's like, "Okay, it's time for you to leave."
I don't know. Maybe he's just upset because Wicket left some skid marks on the floor where he's sleeping.
Wow, that's too much. I was going to say, what about any times in your life you had to make a guest leave? A guest who overstayed their welcome, you had to say, "It's time for you to go."
I feel like I'm one of those people that it's too nice that I just stew about it in my own head.
Oh, yeah. No, me too. That's like months have gone by. Like, when is this person going to leave?
I feel like you're the type of person that would just let the person stay indefinitely. I forgot to mention, looking at this, seeing Sindel, why on earth did I not have my daughter dress up as her for Halloween? That would have been a great costume.
Wow. Well, you can get it started for next year.
I know. Now I have to somehow convince Jen to dress up as an Ewok.
Or maybe you should save it for 2024 because it could be the 40-year anniversary of the first movie.
I bet you that would get some likes on some Reddit cosplay thing.
Oh, yeah. Dude, that'd be great.
Yeah, Nova would be like, what am I dressing up as, Dad?
You permanently bleach Nova's hair.
She does have curly hair like that. Not as curly, but
I think she can nail the costume.
Yeah. Yeah, maybe I think the 2024 because she should be a little older. She'll probably talk the same as Sindel.
Dude, I'll go as Tarek. Jen could just be the witch.
Oh, that's a good idea. And who would I be? Wilford Brimley? Already like a curmudgeon like him. Speaking of Wilford Brimley's costume, if I bought that hat for you for Christmas and sent it to you, would you wear it?
Well, life in the suburbs, Rusty. I'm shocked by the shit I wear.
Are you done? Are you wearing sweatpants yet? I know you wear Crocs.
Well, I wear like Adidas pants, like the same thing. If not,
but with your Crocs?
Below. With my Crocs, yeah. The bad thing about my Crocs, though, is that my cat keeps eating them. So, like, not only do I have Crocs, they're all bitten to hell.
Are you one of those people that put charms on your Crocs?
Yeah, if you have any, you can mail to me. That'd be great.
What would
I'll tell you something pathetic, though. The other day I was in the Glendale Galleria and I saw the Crocs store and I was like, maybe I'll get a new pair of Crocs. And I started walking towards it. And then I saw that there's like a security guard greeting people as they came in. And I was like, I can't deal with the security guard right now. So I just diverted. I was scared off by the security at the Crocs store.
I know nothing of this Crocs culture. How much does a pair of Crocs cost?
I think it's 40, but I'll give them 80.
That sounds like something you do.
No, I'm not sure how much.
You're inviting the salespeople to come live with you. Remember, wasn't Crocs weren't they almost out of business, and then there was like a turnaround due to something, right?
It's such an inspirational story. I get choked up when I talk about it.
I mean, the guys that developed them looked like they could have been us.
Yeah, they're a great group of guys.
Just a bunch of two schlubs.
And of course, everyone knows that the founders were Lyndon Duke Hansen and George Bodecker Jr.
I'm sure you just looked that up right now.
Nope, everyone knows that. It's such a great story.
Yeah, right.
I'm waiting for the next limited series to study the Crocs phenomenon. A lot of celebrities wear Crocs, Rusty. Do you know this?
I can't wait to hear that. Who wears them?
Justin Bieber, Bad Bunny,
I don't know who that
Ariana Grande.
I do know who that is. Oh, come on. These are all terrible celebrities.
No, Ariana Grande is cool.
God, she's horrible. Come on.
Why? Just because she killed all those people?
That is very, very, very insensitive of you.
Oh my God. Just imagine if she was Ariana Venti. That would have been even worse. Oh my God. He's been making that joke ever since that tragic bombing, which obviously is a horrible event.
Yes. Look at you. You finally admitted to something terrible you've said.
I'm trying to do my apology now, just in case I was going to get canceled for that.
How come all these celebrities you're naming are people like 20 years younger than you that would be into? What are you doing?
Well, no, there's a few others. You didn't let me finish. Post Malone, whoever that is, he seems to have tattoos on his face. Nicki Minaj, Questlove,
I know
and
who he
Kanye
is.
West.
Oh, that's just offensive though. Is Kanye? Doesn't he only wear his own brand? Isn't that his thing?
Questlove, I'm a fan now because I just clicked on this. Turns out, age 51. Thank God.
He's a rough looking 51. I thought he was 51
Really?
like 10 years ago.
On these pictures, he looks like a fine guy.
Well, I'm not saying he's not a nice person. I'm just saying he looks old. See, that one would surprise. If you told me he was 51, I'd be like, really? Okay.
He was a producer of a horrible web show I once did, but I'm not seeing it on his Wikipedia. I got to add that. Ooh, boy. So I don't know why I wrote this dialogue down, but this is the dialogue that Wicket and Sindel have in this scene. You ready for this?
What scene are we at right now? Where are we?
This is the next morning, and Noah has told him they got to leave.
Yeah.
So Sindel says, "Good morning." Wicket says,
We go.
"But where will we go?
Family need Wicket, but we don't know where they are. We find."
I'm pretty impressed. I don't know why you have a problem.
Hey, that was the whole scene.
I know, but what do you want Wicket to do? Start reciting Shakespeare?
Wicket didn't have kind of a Macbeth vibe. You could sense that he's like going to knife Sindel when the time is right.
You didn't answer my question. Is that Warwick Davis actually doing the dialogue?
I highly doubt it.
Kevin Pollak did some of the voice work. I wonder if that was him.
Really?
Yeah, maybe. We'll have to find
So
out.
back at the Castle of Evil, this is another very Willow-ish thing.
Yeah, these fucking marauders are just fucking doing nothing all day.
This is a classic evil guy, little kid envisioning of evil guys, where it's there's just one set and they hang around and they
kill like one of them just for laughs.
I'm going to be topical with this one, but Tarek's kind of like Elon Musk at Twitter. he's got no ideas, just sitting
That's
there
true.
waiting for it to collapse with this fucking cucks around watching him.
And the witch is trying to cast spells on the battery, but it's not working. This is an embarrassing moment for anybody. So Tarek says, "Find me that child." And remember in Willow, like there was all the scenes cutting to the witch where she was just like, "Find the child, find the child." Man, Wilford Brimley, he comes home and the house is empty.
Oh, you know what I found really beautiful about the scene? It was really touching that he, as hard of a person that he is, he had beds for them.
Yeah, he had made beds for them.
That's beautiful, very touching. And they were out just picking flowers again. That's all these two do.
Yeah, they were not actually.
We're gonna make you a pie.
Yeah, well, he's like, "Well, I'm glad they're back, but kids don't have to make me a pie, please."
Watching this scene is what I feel like seeing Teak eat the pies. This is you watching you eat. It's like at 3 a.m.
Oh wow,
binging a pie all over your face.
Like, that's the thing about my current life is if my kitchen light is on and you're walking down the street, you can see me like so clearly. Like last night, I woke up and I decided what I need to do to get some blood get my blood pump. I need some blueberry cereal.
Now Halloween has passed. What are you still doing eating blueberry cereal?
Well, it was a large size box.
Didn't you buy like a bunch of them? You bought all the monsters.
No, it's got blueberry and Count Chocula. I made this blueberry cereal. Oh my God. And I put too much of it in there. Let me tell you this. And I'm not done yet, so you can stop being about to speak. This bowl was full, and I used the last of the oat milk. And I was walking back. I bumped into the wall. I threw the bowl in the air, and it collapsed on my floor, splattered everywhere. And I was
Wait, why did you do that?
Because I bumped into the wall.
With that much force?
Yeah, I was sprinting at the time.
Okay.
Anyway, if anyone was looking from the street, they would have seen me stare down at that bowl like I was about to cry. Luckily, my cat's running over to start eating everything. Spurred me back into action.
Well, I mean, that's good, I guess. They shared that moment with you.
Yeah, it was a mistake to tell you this.
Why?
They realize that Wilford has some secrets. There's somewhere that he goes every day.
I love the way, like, where Wicket just like whack. Like it's such a weird concept for the Ewoks to like put that together.
Oh wait, because he says he's got to go work.
Yeah, like, was that something that you would come up with as a kid, or like a creature that barely has an understanding of English language? Work.
So they decide to follow him to work. Mm. Do you notice it was very much the score was really borrowing from the part where they're like in the canyon where it's like do 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 do.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
It was really reminiscent of that part. They see that Noah is repairing a big spaceship.
For like how many decades is this going on?
I don't know, but it seemed like why would you live in that shack when you had the spaceship? You should just live in the spaceship.
But he's been working on the spaceship, but he only needs one part. So like, what else does he really need to do? Just keep the parts clean? I don't know.
I guess so. Yeah, it's constant maintenance. But I just felt like, why does he not want to live in the spaceship? You know, he wants that.
Oh yeah.
He's like, I still believe in going to the office. I'm not going to work from home.
He's old school.
Wicket gets caught in a trap. This is brutal. Imagine if it was like a real nasty trap and Sindel was like trying to fucking put his leg back on.
This is where the movie got very dark. It's a little too much for kids.
Well, it does get a little dark here because Noah explains about his friend Salak. And he went off to search for their ship crashed. Yeah. Salak said, let me go find some more power for this ship.
I really thought like when the witch points out the corpse of Salak, I thought that was just like a ruse because I really thought he was going to return at some point.
Oh yeah, it was going to be another great grumpy old guy like working back out. I never thought I'd see you again. You could say that again, pal. Yeah, all this talk of death, Sindel's like what if I sang a song to make everyone feel a little better?
Yeah.
And she sings the song, and I know she's just a little girl, but it really seems like they're like, okay, she can't sing, and we're not going to let her rehearse at all because it's really just a rough song.
I was thinking that watching it without seeing your notes or anything. I was thinking, like, did this kid, like, did she have, like, anxiety performing this or something? It just seemed so off.
It's very awkward.
I get that she's an actor and she does a good job with the part, but this part just seems very bizarre.
And at the when it concludes, Wicket's like, "Wow!" He's he loves anything. He's just a fan. He's clapping. Noah's like, "It's a very nice song." But Teak has looked kind of mortified during the singing of the song. I was like, "Is that supposed to be that Teak is the only one who's like, she's bombing?"
Teak is the viewer.
But this whole time, there's another audience member to this song, and it is the witch who is watching them in crow form.
That damn crow form.
Sindel, she wakes up, she hears a lady calling to her.
Wait, is the crow? What's the crow's character's name? What's her? Is she just like a sorceress or something? Does she have a name?
We see her name somewhere, but I'm gonna have to get later in the outline
to find out.
So
Sharel is her name.
Sindel's walking outside. Wicket soon discovers he's gone. He throws water on Noah to wake him up. Wilford Brimley's annoyance in this moment definitely looks real. They hear the call as well. And do you notice there's an awkward shot where Noah and Wicket are going up a hill and Wilford Brimley is like going too fast up the hill. He's like leaving Wicket behind. Yeah, he looks back at him and he's like clearly annoyed where he's like, fucking Ewok can't keep up with me.
Yeah.
Anyway, so we see that this woman who's singing this song, she's like a young blonde woman with like a white horse. And the white horse is kind of doing that 80s glow. Back then, all the white horses did that glow.
Like never-ending story kind of thing, yeah.
Oh, yeah, exactly. But then she transforms into a witch. That's not a white horse, Rusty. That's a black horse.
Oh, my goodness, yeah.
Me and my girlfriend broke up. Turns out the white horse was a black horse. I don't know.
Was the actress the same that played Sharel as the white? Oh, no. It was different.
If she heard this, she'd be like, I'm flattered you even think that.
Yeah, because I was going to say, like,
you're a doll. She's like 30 years younger.
I think that really, if I saw this movie as a kid, that would have really appealed to me. Finding like the goddess in the woods. I'd be like, I need that. I need to start going into the woods more. This could happen to me. You know what's bizarre though? Like when Wicked stresses to Noah, like there's some urgency here that what's her name? Sindel's in danger. And he's just like, just wait a minute. And he goes like back inside the house to get dressed. But like, it takes him a while to get dressed. So like maybe if he just ran in his like nightgown, they could have saved
her. The first instruction he gives Wicket, he goes, you go upstairs and get my rope. Rope's such a weird thing. Rope's like a disturbing thing. Like,
oh, in the 80s though, with the games like Rygar and stuff, you're getting your grappling hook and rope.
Oh my God, yeah. We're gonna get to that in a second. So I'm gonna save my grappling hook material. He's also getting a blaster.
Wow, yeah. Good thing he's strapped. Does he use it? I don't even remember if he used it.
I'm not sure.
I think it was just for show.
Sindel's taken back to the evil castle.
Oh God!
And the witch leads her to Tarek. We have another one of these scenes where he's like, "Now you're going to show me how to use this device," and she's like, "I don't know." And it's just a scary thing for a monster. I said it already, but to be like, "How do you use this device? I need tech support." It's like, I can't help you.
I know. I mean, kids are pretty honest too. Like, it's so clear that she has no idea what he's talking about. I mean, what does he want to waterboard these people next? Get some answers. That's the edited scene. The Marauders got poor Sindel tied down with a cloth over her head. Waterboard her. She's like, all right, I'll tell you.
That was one of the problems with the Marauders in real life.
They were waterboarding each other.
No, I had said at one point, I was like, when we find our enemies, like we're going to like make them drink mouthwash because it's so gross. And then I didn't really mean that though. And then the kid told his mom that, and the mom was like, Eddie Doherty wants to have people drink mouthwash. I was like, I wasn't really going to, that's just talk, lady.
That was the tame stuff. What were you really going to do?
Well, another thing that happened, this is another false crime I was accused of.
Uh-oh.
We went into the weeds and we like lifted this like wood. We lifted wood. Like a, what do you call it? Not like a 2x4. It was like a platform. It was like more wood.
Like
okay, it's not important.
Like plywood.
The story exists. Yeah, like a plywood, like
a sheet,
however big, like a door size thing.
Yeah,
and sheet. Yeah, we lifted this sheet of plywood, and there was a snake under it. This story is about to take a dark turn. And this kid, it was like he became possessed. He picked up a stick and killed the snake like an animal.
Terrible.
And I didn't approve of this. I said, don't kill the snakes. If anything, we should capture them and sell them to a pet store. This could be a great business for us. So then we get back home later, and the kid's like, Eddie said we're going to capture snakes and sell them to the pet store. And the mom's like, I don't think you're allowed to do that. Like, I think you gotta. And I was like, obviously I was saying that to get you to stop killing the snakes, you fucking freak. Now I look like the weird guy. Anyway, Noah, Wicket, and Tarek travel to the castle. The three amigos on the road. Classic Bob Hope and the other guy, Bing Crosby.
Road to Morocco, Road to Zanzibar. Yeah, the Road 2 series. Yep.
Maybe it's time for a song.
I don't think so, Wicket.
Do you notice? I noticed in that scene though, where what's his face, Tarek is interrogating Sindel. If you look at his hand, he has the same kind of hand as the alien imprint thing on Mars in Total Recall, the reactor.
He can start the reactor.
Yeah, I know. He has the perfect hand for it. I mean, the dude's so inept. He would totally fuck that up too. So I noticed that the Ewoks only have 3 fingers as well.
Yeah.
It's weird, man. But not Tarek. Teak has 5 fingers. I'm with Teak, man.
The weird thing is, like, hand jobs from them feel the same. Okay. Sindel and the witch are hanging out with Salak, who we see as the dead body.
Mm.
The witch is kind of like thrown into jail for reasons that we don't really.
She's like the most loyal person to him. She's done all his bidding, and like.
She's like, why are you throwing me in jail? He's like, the movie said it. Go in jail.
I love how she's just like, Salad. Oh yeah, he's over there. And just like this poor skeletal remains strung up.
Oh yeah,
it's like from Pirates of the Caribbean kind of thing.
It is. There's a lot of death in this movie, which is fun.
Yeah, it's dark for a kid. Although as a kid, that stuff never bothered me.
Oh no, that doesn't bother you as a kid.
No. So it's like, come on.
So Wicket, there's a moat surrounding the castle. He makes a move to go in it, and Noah's like, "Are you out of your mind?" And he pokes the water, and we see some bubbles burst.
You know that's coming into play later.
Oh yeah,
like they're not going to not use that.
And Noah pulls out his grappling hook gun. And Rusty, I looked these up. You know, the grappling hooks are complete fake. There's no grappling hook guns in the world.
Really?
It's just a complete movie device.
Wow. I've been lied to so many things.
Like someone on YouTube built one recently that kind of works, but it's like, like for the thing to like pull you up.
Yeah.
Is so difficult. So Wilfred and Teak, they're sneaking down to the castle, and Wicket. They see where the prisoners are.
Mm-hmm.
And so you think Teak's going to steal? We see where the keys are too. You think he's going to use his speed to steal the keys?
No,
but instead he uses his speed to steal a rope.
I like what he's
doing.
And
they do the 3 guy in a rope trick. Which has this ever happened in real life? It's such like a movie trope, and now I feel like it's like a meme. But was there ever a time in real life where like a kid went to an R-rated movie with like standing on the shoulders of another kid? I find it hard to believe.
It's just like something from the Little Rascals. They're going back to that. Yeah. The weird thing in this scene, though, is that they're doing it. They're pulling it off, but like it attracts the attention of Tarek and some of his like crew, but nobody does anything. They're just like, yep, look at this tall freak with the Ewok. That like his crew is like sitting around pretty much doing nothing. That's all they seem to do. I feel like if you were there, you'd just be with your laptop with all your Reddit tabs open.
No, it's just like this is like Jabba's palace where like all the guys are like sleeping behind the curtain. It's like, really? They don't do nothing?
Boba Fett's nodding at you as you have like, you don't know which tab to look at.
Oh boy.
He's like, go to the port, Ed. Go to the port. You're like, I got too many tabs open. I don't know what to do.
That way. Wait, you mean porn on Reddit? Do you consume porn on Reddit?
No. I know there's like Gone Wild and stuff, but not really.
Yeah.
Do you?
No, not at all.
You're so guilty the way you answered that.
What? No, dude. I gotta go to Pornhub. I know half the first page. Always gotta adjust my fantasies to be like realistic.
You know, like the dicks, just without even seeing the face. You're like, oh, I know who that.
Oh yeah. I'm not gonna identify him, but he knows who he is, and he's listening right now, and I know his dick so well. I just need to see one screen grab, and I'm like, yep, that slight lilt, the head with that kind of.
Oh boy! So you've never looked at getting back on track. You never looked at porn on Reddit.
Once I did, but basically because someone mentioned it on Reddit, like that they looked on porn. I was like, oh, I never thought about it as an option. But once you're set in your ways,
yeah, you're old school. You go to Pornhub.
Well, lately I go to X videos, but no one really needs to know this. Pornhub. I don't like how they send me to that chatterbait screen. I'm like, why can't this be a more pleasant user experience?
I agree.
Yeah, I love this scene, Rusty, because Wicket frees Sindel. Then he goes to free the witch, and Sindel goes, "No, not her. She's evil," and tosses the key away.
Yeah, down the drain. I really wonder, though, and I don't know if there's an answer for this, but I felt like we were getting to a point where the evil witch was turning.
I mean, it did feel like that. It felt like if she had let them out, if she had let the witch out, it would have been, her arc towards goodness.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. I'm just like, oh, that's weird that they never went to that direction.
She felt like she was going Sorsha. Instead, she was more like a Nazi who, when the camp was being liberated, stripped naked and tried to go as one of the prisoners. And then Sindel's an American soldier who's like, this one looks like an Aryan.
So she really did have the force, though. She could have, she could have freed herself anyway.
I mean, I thought she would have been better as an ally because she almost thinks them coming up here.
Yeah.
But Noah, he blows a hole through the wall. They're going to make their escape. Sindel's like, I got to tell you, Salak died. And she has a great line. She says they killed him for the power thing. They grab the battery, but the witch is like, no, that's mine. And not a very strong bargaining, not a great bargaining position.
I don't even think anybody acknowledged her either, right? They're just like, let's go.
Oh, yeah. No, but then because Tarek gives her the wing back, gives her the ring back. So she becomes a bird again. But he takes the ring off. So she's trapped in the bird position.
Yeah.
Now,
smart. This is the only smart move of the movie.
Preparing for battle, Tarek's getting his forces together. And I really felt, when they're crossing that field, in that big army, I don't remember it because now I'm just reading my notes. But I remember feeling the majesty.
Yeah, up until they get into the battle, I feel like for all they're sitting around doing nothing, it really translated to what happened in the battle because they had no plan.
Oh, that's so true. Yeah, because Noah, meanwhile, they're back at the ship and he's trying to get the power going because the battery that Paul Gleason had earlier, this is actually exactly what Noah needs.
Yeah.
And he's like, I just need you Ewoks to hold these fuckers off long enough.
They're like, we did it before. We could do it again.
And he gives Wicket a laser turret. And Wicket's like, it's like giving a psychopath an AR. He's like, I finally have exactly what I wanted.
The Ewoks like really just go crazy here. They're just killing with impunity here.
Oh, yeah. They land a lot more hits than they do in Jedi.
Oh, yeah. I mean, they're more creative with their attack. They're more organized. These guys have been practicing. Like,
and in Jedi, there's places where you're like, okay, maybe that guy was knocked out. And in this, you're like, no, they just murdered that guy. But it's for good reason, Yeah. These Marauders gotta go.
Yeah, nobody's relating to the Marauders. Nobody likes them. The way they looked, they're disgusting. Nobody
are disgusting. They are hideous.
I noticed that some of the Marauders, like way in the background, if you look at their costume, it's clearly like wearing what they showed up in. Like there's like sweatpants and sweatshirts.
Well, there's one Marauder I love that was like, they're mostly tall. There's one really short one who had the gawky energy of like a 11-year-old boy.
Yeah. Yeah, he was like the one that like brought what are they, the Glurgs?
He's like featured kind of a lot. Like as far as these anonymous Marauders go, he's one of the stars. So Wicket gets caught in a trap at one point.
Yeah.
And when the guy says such a weird delivery, when the other Ewoks, he goes to cut the rope and he goes, "I'm going to cut," but like the way he said it is so bizarre. And another bizarre line, like the battle kind of dies down. And Sindel goes, "Everything's okay now."
Yeah.
And that's an invitation for Tarek to come and grab her.
Yep.
He's like, "Go tell Noah to bring me the power. Tell him now."
Yeah, like he knows about Noah. This is like Darth Vader and Obi-Wan squaring off. They have a history.
This is huge. It was actually, it sounds like I'm joking, but I really mean this was a satisfying battle. Because Noah's like, "Turn her loose and I'll fight you for it."
Yeah.
And you can see in my notes, all right, let's fucking go. That's how amped up I was when I saw this. Because Noah's got like a bow staff and Tarek's got like the sword.
That weird kind of, it's like something from like Jabba's sail barge kind of like.
Oh, I think it's like a scimitar.
Is it?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
And they're just going off on each other. And it looks like Wilford Brimley really is the guy. Like, it didn't look like a stunt guy.
Oh yeah. This fight scene is 100 times better than the Dooku and Yoda fight scene.
I agree.
I would watch
at one point, Teak gets tossed. Like,
oh my god. Teak takes a beating in that one.
Wow. Yeah.
Him coming out from underneath the bushes after he gets launched into it, and he's just like, "Oh!" He's like,
"Oh yeah, no." It's like they speed up his fall because he's like so disoriented. Wicket throws his bolo thing. Is that what it's called? Like when there's two rocks on a string.
Well, I don't know. I'm thinking, is that
bolo
the same thing as like a bolo tie? Yeah.
Knocks him out, and what happens? It like crushes the ring on him. It turns him into a statue or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
The witch, she's stuck as a crow, or is it a raven? What do I know? What am I, a bird brain?
It's actually a grackle.
Oh, really?
No, it's a crow. But I just wanted to make you feel stupid.
Are crows the ones that talk?
I know crows are very intelligent, so
one of those talks, either raven or a crow.
This guy's been hanging out with Ewoks too long. They all talk to me.
And then there's the conclusion of the movie, Rusty. We're here. Noah's leaving.
You don't get choked up talking about this?
I mean,
it's beautiful.
When he says to Wicket, he says, "I'm proud to know you, and my life is better for it." And then he says, "And the rest of all you too."
He's not shaking anybody's hand.
Why he's not going to take Teak with him? Teak seemed like he was his companion.
Yeah, Teak's loyal to him. Teak's his friend. You know what's really sad though? And like he says goodbye to Teak and stuff. You see Teak's little arm in a sling.
Oh wow, I didn't even notice that.
Oh, you didn't even notice that?
Yeah.
So he's like definitely injured from the battle.
I mean, Wilford gives him a. Oh, sorry. What were you saying?
I was just going to say, what you don't see is 2 hours from that moment, Teak's dead from his injuries.
Teak goes back to his people, and like they're like, he smells like human. They tear him apart.
Yeah, where's his people at? We know the Ewoks are there.
I mean, but this is an amazing moment because Wilford Brimley, who we know did not like doing this project, he gets on his knees and he looks this like puppet, not puppet because there's someone in the costume.
Yeah,
looks just like this mask eye to eye, and he says, "What do I say to you, friend? You're a sweet spirit. I love you, and I'm gonna miss you." And you know, like he got off his knees, like, "Okay, I'm only doing one take. Next, not doing that again. It's ridiculous." Maybe your granddaughter will like it. That bitch.
Good thing Wilford Brimley's a fine actor because I feel like a lot of his stuff was one take. I feel like with him working with Sindel, because it seems like they have such a nice relationship, but he's just like, "This is why I don't work with kids. I'm not doing this shit."
Yeah, because she was really young. I mean, I think she was 5 here and she's 4 in the one before.
Oh wow.
Oh my God. Sindel, she promises to come back and visit. We already talked about how awkward that would be. But everyone cries. I'm crying.
How funny of an ending would it have been if like Teak and Wicket run after, the ship as it's taking off and they're waving, and then the ship starts to take off towards the star, and then we just see it explode like the Challenger. What a horrifying ending that would have been.
Oh man.
Wicket and Teak just look at each other like, oh no.
The spaceship's taking off and Tweak and Wicket are running next to it. Like, remember in Almost Famous when he's like running alongside the van or the bus or whatever?
Except it's a spaceship.
Yeah, except it's a spaceship. So they're like, stay low for a little while. We're running.
Well, Teak, I don't know what Teak's top speed is, but Teak could keep up.
Oh, yeah?
Wicked. Man, he couldn't even walk up a hill after a human. How's he running?
Wicked is struggling.
It's really weird, though, because he said Wicked Warwick as a kid, but he was like a teenager in this movie.
Really? I thought he was like still a kid because he's like a kid in Jedi. It's like a year earlier.
Yeah, but he was born in 1970. So, I mean, if this was filmed in 84, to say he was 14.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, he's way older than us.
Oh, my God. I love that. Hey, hon? Yeah, I'm older than a celebrity. Warwick Davis. Don't you mean Warwick? No, it's actually Warwick. Wait, no, you said Warwick. I fucked up.
Warwick. What the hell? Whatever.
Warwick, not Warwick.
Warwick. You know how like sometimes when you hear things pronounced a certain way and then you find out the correct way of pronouncing it, but you're so old at this point that you really can't distinguish the difference. So you just
and
you
want to
become interchangeable.
I want to keep saying Zendaya, but they're telling me it's Zendaya.
Yeah.
But she was like, Ed, you can keep calling me Zendaya. It's fine.
Mm-hmm. Oh, you're the love triangle in that equation.
Yeah. No, yeah. She's like, you're like my old boyfriend who's like a dad.
You're like Derek from
Tom Holland's like, I can't believe I'm like competing with this guy. Well, that about wraps it up, Rusty.
Oh,
man. What a great time with the Ewoks.
Yeah. The Christmas gift that keeps on giving.
Do you ever hear that song, Le Petit Ewoks? Which I'll probably use as the intro song, Le Petit Ewoks.
You mentioned it to me. I did not know the song, but I did know the artist.
Really? Remind me who the artist is.
It's like Dorothy, right?
Oh, yeah, yeah.
What
was her deal? She was French.
I just know
she did.
There's an 80s song that like is okay that she did. I mean, nobody would know the song. It was a French hit. Didn't make it over to the States. Unless we have French listeners, I don't know. But
guess what? We're going to go out on that Le Petit Ewok song again.
We'll be celebrating like the Ewoks
Until next time.
See ya.
Pour qu'une petite fille perdue dans la nuit revienne à la vie, pour que deux étrangers pauvres naufragés échappent au danger, tous ils se sont levés, ils ont accepté sans même hésiter de tout risquer. Ils ont du courage au fond du cœur.